1,
2, 3,
4.
Welcome back to Technical and Pictorial Drawing at helveticamediama.com.au. In this video we're going to learn about drawing ellipses in isometric. We're going to begin by exploring the relationship between a circle and a square. We'll move on to drawing ellipses in isometric. We're going to learn how to apply them to all faces of a cube and finish up by using our knowledge of drawing ellipses to draw a wheel. I'd like to start by thinking about a circle and its relationship to a square. Now we all know that the circle touches a square at midpoints. Then we're going to have to identify where the ellipse also happens between those points. So I draw vertical, horizontal and diagonal lines. Then I draw a diamond between the center points on the square. If we take the center diagonal there and we divide it up into 4 pieces, each one a quarter long, you can see that I've divided that red diagonal into 4 quarters. Then if we look at the top quarter there, we can see that I have divided it again into 2, so that there are 2 pieces 1/8 long. You can see that the ellipse cuts that diagonal just inside 1/8. That's the important knowledge that we need to know to go on and draw ellipses. Let's see if we can do it. So we're going to distort this square into isometric and use the same principle to construct an ellipse in isometric. I begin with a square in isometric. I then put in diagonal lines to mark the center, a vertical line and a horizontal line. We put the diamond in again, which is going to be crucial in finding that 8th position. We know that the ellipse is going to touch the square at the midpoints, and my red marks are at around about 1/8 along each diagonal. It's important to mark those where I've marked the red before you draw your ellipse. And then we see that we add the ellipse and it crosses the diagonal at those points. And there we have it, the ellipse in the isometric square. So it works on the same principle that it did in an undistorted square. We note that there are 2 axes in an ellipse. There's a major axis, which is the long one, and a minor axis, which is the short one. The major axis runs at 60 degrees to the horizontal, and the minor axis runs at 30 degrees to the horizontal. Now let's see if we can extend this knowledge and build ellipses on all faces of a cube. We draw an isometric cube quickly, and then we add the vertical and the horizontal lines and the diagonal lines to each face. Next, we add in the 1/8 marking points, which are going to tell us where to draw our ellipse on the top. And there we have it, we've drawn the ellipse. I'm going to draw the ellipse on the right hand side now, so I add in the 1/8 point markers and draw in the ellipse. And finally add in the 1/8 point markers on the left side and draw the ellipse again. And there we have the cube with isometric ellipses on each face. And do you notice that the major axis runs at 60 degrees in a rightward direction on the right face, 60 degrees in a left direction on the left face, and the major axis is actually horizontal on the top face of the cube. Finally, let's use this knowledge to make a wheel using isometric ellipses. The first step is to draw your first ellipse using the same method that I've described. The next step is to use isometric lines to extend outwards from that first ellipse the thickness of the wheel that you need. Measure those lines out for the thickness from the third angle orthogonal that you're copying. Once you have those lines, use the same technique and create another square. Create the diagonals, verticals and horizontals and the diamond, and add another ellipse. So now we have two ellipses within squares sitting parallel with each other with those extension lines. If your drawing calls for a hub or an inside to the wheel, use the same principle, draw a new square in a concentric way. So coming out from the center point, I've drawn another square, diagonals and the diamond, and used that to form an ellipse in the middle. Then extend back to the left, back inside the ellipse or inside the wheel, the distance that you need your hub to move into the wheel. After you've done that, draw another square and form up another ellipse. By this stage, it is getting fairly complicated, so you need to keep your construction lines really light so that you're able to see what you're doing. Once you have all of this structure, it's time to heavy in exactly what you need. You can use isometric lines from the top and the bottom to join the two wheels. And once that's finished, you should be able to rub out all of the construction lines and you have a completed wheel. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope that helps in your learning how to draw ellipses. And thank you. Till next time.